Welcome back, everybody, to a brand new video. Today we're going to be looking at some color grading. I'm going to do some pretty epic color grading. So I've had a ton of people ask how I got the colors in the video that I put out, the Adidas spec ad. Also, you should totally check it out. I'm really proud of how this one turned out. There were a lot of challenges in the color grading process that, were just super weird things, and I'm gonna go over some of them here. Quick disclaimer, I'm probably doing this wrong. If you want to learn how to color grade, I'll put a few people in the description who I think are incredible at, teaching you DaVinci Resolve, so I would highly recommend checking them out. I know I'm butchering his pronunciation, but it's like Quasi, I think. Yeah, he does incredible tutorials. This dude's a professional. Totally check him out. Just something to note here. The reason why these look so good, and 90% of it being due to that, and not even 10% of it being me, is the fact that I use phantom LUTs. If you haven't heard about phantom LUTs, you need to check it out. I actually made a video about it about a year ago, and that's actually my most popular video that I've put out. I'm actually working on a second one. I actually recorded a half-an-hour interview with Joel Famularo, the creator of Phantom LUTs. So I'm really excited for you guys to see this video. It's gonna be awesome. That's coming out here pretty soon. So yeah, Phantom LUTs make these things look so good. Totally buy them because they are incredible. First off, we have this one here. This is Grant looking down at the ground as he's, about to get ready to start running and do some epic stuff. So essentially, out of camera, just log, this is what it looks like. That is pretty flat, obviously, because we shot an S-log. You want to make sure you're shooting a log. If your camera doesn't have log, that's totally fine. But if you have the ability to shoot in log, 9 times out of 10, that's going to be what you're going to need to be shooting in to get anything usable. Because you get that extra few stops of dynamic range, as well as you preserve all of the color information so that you can pull it out later. That was a voice crack. That was embarrassing. So essentially, I'm going to show you guys how you can take this to this. This is after I finished color grading. It's pretty contrasty. It's pretty moody. And now the biggest issue that I ran into here after finishing color grading it was his face. Now, Grant, if you're listening, I'm sorry, there's nothing personal. It's just your face was super hard to color grade. So if you look here, this may not translate very well on YouTube, but you see that difference there? Do you see that? See how horribly green he looks, like he's about to Hulk out. Like, it's horrible. It's horrible. And what that is, that's just the sun's light hitting the grass, and the green of the grass bouncing up onto his face. It looks horrible, and it is so unflattering. Okay, so normally, if you don't have Phantom LUTs, this is where you bring in a color space transform. But I am using Phantom LUTs, and again, if you don't have these, use a color space transform. I'll leave a link in the description for a tutorial that's really good on how to use those. But for me, using Phantom LUTs are a conversion LUT. So I shoot S-Log, and these LUTs are made for S-Log. These specific ones, Joel does make other versions of those LUTs for, Red Komodo, Canon now, the DJI drones he makes some for. So depending on what your camera is, you need to buy those specific LUTs for you. Yeah, so I am going to add a few notes here. About 4 is what I normally am comfortable with. Okay, so these are your basic nodes that you're gonna need. You have your noise reduction, white balance, and your color space transform. So we're just starting with these 3 for right now. But if you're going to want to make a node on either side, instead of right-clicking, add node, corrector, and dragging it in place, what you can do, you can just click on the one that you want it to be on either side of. Now you press Shift S to make it before that node, or you press Option or Alt S if you're on Windows to make it after. So let's add another one here, and this can be our creative whatever. I've done a really good job at capitalizing these guys, so we're gonna move on. So first step is adding in our color space transform. So again, yours would be up here if you're not using Phantom LUTs. In my case, like I said, I am using Phantom LUTs, so I'm just gonna go ahead and select my LUT. But for this one, I'm gonna be using Vision Teal. This is the LUT I used there previously, so I'm just gonna go ahead and select and drag that onto that node. And there you see, we're getting pretty close already. Again, it's Phantom LUTs. Phantom LUTs looks so good, man. Highly recommend you check them out. We're gonna adjust our white balance. This is, again, not a tutorial on this specific section because, the technicalities of DaVinci Resolve is not something that I'm super delved in. So I think delved is a word. So we're just going to look at our parade scope here, and we're just going to go ahead and, offset it in the direction that we're going to need to. So for the highlights, I'm going to go ahead and add a bit more red in there. We don't want to make it super magenta. Add a little bit of warmth back into the highlights. Midtones, this is where, we're getting a lot of that green as well. So we're gonna pull away from that. Add a bit more blue in there. So as you see, we're already pulling a lot of that green out of Grant's face. And that honestly looks good for the most part. We can come back and adjust this as we need. So the big things that really made this for me was the creative masks that I placed here. Under the noise reduction, since we're not using noise reduction, I'm going to use this for exposure adjustments. So we go into my parades and you can see where our levels are going to be. So we're just going to raise up the offset, brighten up the sky a bit, and then we're going to bring down our lift. Now we don't want to, make Grant's face pitch black, but we want to bring it down a good bit. I want to bring down our gain slightly so it's not super overpowering. Perfect. So now we have, it's a little less contrasting. I'm going to bring it down a little more. Perfection. Okay. Now we're going to go ahead and this is where I'm going to go ahead and add some masks. And we don't need to track a mask. We can use a Luma mask since, Grant's dark, the sky is black, or Grant's dark, the sky is bright. And under the qualifier tab here, we're going to go ahead and make sure our node is selected that we want this to adjust. And then we're going to go ahead and bring the low all the way up here. You can see under this thing, it's changing. To be able to see that, we're going to press Shift H. And so we can see what our selection on our node is currently adjusting. So now you can see, there we go. So we're just going to bring it down till Grant is invisible and the sky is still there. So right about there, there's a perfect key. And then we'll go and, add some low softness so that, it's not we're not getting a ton of artifacts in there. We want to, make sure we stay away from that. Perfect. Okay, look at that. That is a perfect key. Now, if I wanted to, I can make the sky super orange and now it's not affecting Grant. That is what that just did there. Obviously, we're not going to go that extreme, but what I did in the previous grade here, I did add a bit of warmth into the sky. So to do that, we're just going to go ahead and in our offset, we're just going to go ahead and bring this up towards the warm a little bit. There you go. Look at that. This already just makes quite a bit of a difference. So the second mask we're doing here is the face mask. Now, again, the significance of this being the intense green hue that this was shifting on his face. So again, just look there, before, after. It looks so much better. So to add this in, we're gonna create another node. And in this node, we're actually gonna go into our mask section right here. And we're just gonna go ahead and make a circular mask. And I am going to, size it to Grant's face, his ugly face. Perfect. You wanna make sure it's not hitting any of the sky. Anywhere that it's like really being affected by the terrible greenness. This is what we're gonna try to hit here. Okay, good. Now, obviously, if we hit play, the mask isn't staying, and we need the mask to stick to his face. This is where DaVinci's AI tracking engine is so freaking good. So we're gonna go ahead with the mask selected. We're gonna go into our tracking tab, and all we have to do is hit this button right here, and it tracks like black magic. Now, if we hit Shift H, we can again see what the mask is affecting. And we have this incredibly beautiful track of just Grant's face. So just appreciate Grant chewing on this piece of gum to fix the horrible green hue that you see here. We're just gonna, offset the green. And so we're gonna go into the offset here, and we're gonna go ahead and drag this away from the green. So into the magenta, into the skin tone color area. Obviously, we don't want to go too extreme, because if you go too extreme, he looks like the girl from Willy Wonka that is gonna explode into a blueberry or whatever. It's been a long time. I haven't seen it. There's an example of pushing it a little too far. His skin looks a little too saturated for me, but it is super close. So just go ahead and drag the offset back down a little bit. So what the Quaz man always says is, push it too far and then bring it back. That's always his advice, and it's really good advice. There you go. Look at that. Just with the offset, with that simple tweak, you have this incredible adjustment. Look, that is just a ginormous improvement. Another thing is when you're dealing with like super close-ups of people's faces, it is nice to kind of soften their face. Instead of, with new lenses, they tend to be very sharp and reveal all the imperfections. So to do that, we're gonna go into mid detail section, or we're gonna go like negative 20 or negative 18-ish. So you see it's smoothing out the skin just enough. So it's not like it's a ton or anything big, but it does add that little extra detail, and I think that is nice. So I'm gonna go back to the clouds here, and something cool you can do here is, I adjusted the entirety of the image. You can actually just adjust the highlights. So say I want to push the highlights to more of a warmth, and then the gamma, the midtones, I can push them to be a little, gosh, this voice cracking. I can push them to be a little more blue. Giving some contrast there. So adding blue in the midtones and orange in the highlights of the sky looks pretty good, and that's what I tried to do throughout the entirety of the video. So there you go. So this is before and after. Let me know if you think there's anything that you would do different. Totally hit me up, and I would love to hear what you would do. Hey, well, let me know if you guys enjoyed this. If you guys did, totally let me know, because I'd love to hear what you guys have to say. If I'm doing something totally wrong, I'd love to know, because I'm always trying to get better at the stuff that I'm doing. It's kind of fun to tell you guys what I learn along the way. I'll see you guys in the next one. Oh, before you go, you may know about something called the like button. So the like button exists, and you should hit the like button. Have you hit the like button yet? Have you hit the like button yet? It's free real estate.